All right, guys, about that time. Chris Brooks here with you. Another edition of the Gridiron Live, Mississippi Gridiron's Friday night scoreboard show. Hope you guys are having a good night. I checked out several games here around the metro area, tried to keep an eye on what's going on out there, but I'm sure I missed some things. I did roll up in here right before I'm pointing at a clock. You can't see what I'm pointing at, but I'm pointing at a clock down there. I did roll in here kind of late, so not incredibly prepared to do this tonight, but you know what? That's okay. We're going to do it anyway. I'll pick up some scores as we go here. And we'll knock this thing out. I hope I did that thing right. I think I did. I'm almost positive I did that right. Anyway, the show is always brought to you by Capital Ortho, capitalortho.com. I got my trusty hat right here. By Sound and Communications, that's soundcomav.com. Every time I put this hat on for some reason, when I look down here at the screen, so like I'm looking there at you guys. Depth of focus is bad there. I'm looking at you right there. And for some reason, when I look at the screen down here, this hat is always off wrong. But it feels great. So I don't I think I have an optical illusion here. And I'm pretty sure last week too, if you go back and look at the video, the Capital Ortho on top of this bad boy, it was inverted. It was backwards. That's not how that's supposed to be, but that's what we did. That's what we did. Brought to you by capitalortho.com, by Malone Roofing Services, easymalone.com, The Rogue in Jackson. You can get yourself one of these. Cowboy Country Club hoodie. I have several of them. Softest hoodie I've ever had. They had a big deal. Luke and his team had a huge deal today with the Cowboy Country Club people. Locally produced product. Pretty awesome. And also brought to you by Country Pleasing Sausage and Country Meat Packers in Florence. Always happy to have them on board. Several things we're going to get to here real quick. Already got a couple texts. If you're friends of mine, you got to understand, like this phone here. Okay. Yeah, that's my oldest there. How about that? Let's see. Hey, we could do a show on that. You want me to show you the screen on my phone? That was my youngest there. As you see the Toronto Rolls at home alert from ESPN there. We're about to get to some scores, I promise. I can't show favorites, and that's my last one. That's my middle one. Caleb plays at Cole Inn. Connor's playing at Jack State. We'll go over there tomorrow to see Connor, man, for their family day. And then Camo is a senior at Northwest Rankin. Several scores we got to get to here. So I'm going to be tracking this stuff down as we do the show. I went out to Clinton to see Oxford in town. Have some thoughts on that one. Clinton led the entire game, and then Oxford came back to win the thing in the fourth quarter. Knox Kiffin had a big night. I think threw a couple of touchdowns. Left there, saw a little bit of Tri-County Leak Academy, wanted to get a little MAIS action in the academies. They had a big game. Tri-County won big in that. So shout out to the Tri-County Academy Rebels and Coach Wasson and those guys. The favorites in Class 3A in the MAIS. And then on the way home, drove out to Germantown to see the Mavericks hosting Madison Central. And that was a great quarter and a half. I was there, saw the fourth quarter halfway through the third. I'm going to give you an underrated quarterback. King White at Germantown has had a great year. He's playing in the Bernard Blackwell All-Star Classic. And give you an idea what I'm talking about. Madison Central comes back in the fourth. They take the lead. I believe it was 17-14. Big play at the goal line. They get it in. And we're about halfway through the fourth. Germantown gets the ball back, takes the kickoff. And then King White, first play from scrimmage. He takes off, looks like a little run pass option play. I'm taking pictures, so I don't get to see all of that. But he goes around the left end and has much more speed than you give him credit. He takes off for about 70 yards, sets up the game-winning touchdown, and Germantown gets a big win over Madison Central tonight. Okay, I know some of these I'm going to gloss over, even though that they are ranked high. We will get to our top 25 power rankings tonight. Happy to do that. West Point's all over Caledonia tonight. Beat them big. The Tupelo game, this is one that we were watching. Tupelo and Horn Lake. This was a game that was going to be kind of telling for Horn Lake. For the people that are up north in that part of the state, I know you're not well represented in our power rankings. I just want to give you guys an idea of how this is working. If you go to Max Preps and you can see their power rankings, the only problem with Max Preps, they don't have all the scores in right now. Next year, I think it'll be better. The MHSAA just switched over to Max Preps before the start of this season, but it's heavily based off strength of schedule. And if you don't have a strong strength of schedule, you're going to be ranked low. Of the top 25 teams I put out today in the power ranking or yesterday, every team was at least in the top 30 in the computer rankings. And for whatever reason, Horn Lake, Hernando's in this boat. A lot of these schools up north, the number that's being spit out it's weaker on the schedule strength. But you come up with big games like tonight. You play Tupelo, you get a bump. However, Tupelo wins that game with Horn Lake tonight, 38-13. Yardage is pretty close, 301 to 252. And Tupelo, I'm looking at their graphics here. They do a great job with all of this. Tupelo, big winner tonight over Horn Lake. Picayune had a game against Long Beach tonight. Picayune ranked number 4 in our power rankings, right behind MRA. And Picayune, see if I can find that final here for you, 42-7. So Maroon Tide, big winners tonight. I know MRA was a big winner tonight. Let's go to Oxford. Okay, the game that was in. I'll get to those in just a second here, TJ, and the Dude Effect. League Central can play, man. I got to hold that, though. League Central can play. Oxford comes back against Clinton tonight. Let's see what that final was. I think it was like a 30-23 score over Clinton. Clinton is scrappy too. That's not an easy team to beat. 33-23, and I was right. Knox Kiffin throws 2 touchdowns tonight against the Clinton Arrows, and Oxford picks up the win. They are still, I believe that moves them to 8-1, maybe. I know they're a 1-loss team. That only loss coming against Tupelo. So hats off to Oxford tonight. Ocean Springs, I saw that final. It was like 50-something to 20-something over West Harrison. That's a good football team. Columbia tonight over South Pike. I saw that one earlier too. I know I'm getting some pushback on Columbia high up in these rankings, but I'm just telling you guys, the computer is spitting out a number with Columbia that places them up there. They have a big win over Petal, who fell tonight to Pearl. We'll get into that before we get out of here. And maybe that hurts them some. Columbia, that is, in strength of schedule. But they beat South Pike tonight, 49-36. And a few other scores here. I'm seeing a clump of scores here. Parkland over Simpson, 48-19. After Columbia, Petal and Pearl. With all due respect to my Pearl Pirate fans, I did not see that one coming, but I'm happy for you guys. 21-14 is your final. And I think this is top of my head here. Let's talk Region 3 here just for a second, okay? In 7A. We'll get to this in a minute, but Brandon loses on the road to Oak Grove tonight. Of course, everybody's following. I don't have a whole lot of thoughts. I don't have a whole lot of thoughts on the Brandon situation that I'm going to talk about here. Know everybody involved or most of, so that's something I don't want to touch on. I hate the circumstances. I just hate the circumstances of it. Shouldn't have to do that in the middle of a season, but You know, the season goes on. It's not like it's stopping for anybody. But Brandon loses to Oak Grove. Pearl beats Petal tonight. Northwest Rankin picks up a win over Meridian tonight. So Meridian's 0-3. Appreciate you, Ryan. Meridian's 0-3. Brandon is 1-2. I believe that makes, so I'm looking here from Ryan. 2-1 Oak Grove, Northwest Rankin Pearl, and Petal. And Brandon's 1-2. The two teams that will be out will be Brandon and Meridian in Region 2. And nobody had that at the start of the year. Look, there's still a lot of football left to play. I say a lot. There's not a lot. Two more regular season games here for the Brandon Bulldogs, and then we're done. So Northwest Rankin, Oak Grove, Pearl, and Petal all sitting at 2-1. They would be in the playoffs right now. And I'm not even going to try and undo that tiebreaker there. But that's craziness. But congratulations to Pearl. I saw Petal last week beat Brandon. That's a good Petal team. A lot of Division I players on it. Physically, a good looking team. And Pearl goes on the road. I believe that was on the road. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong there, Ryan. I believe that was on the road. I'm almost positive. Big win for Pearl. Gulfport, they win big over Biloxi tonight. People, hey, you start looking at Gulfport. I already mentioned Ocean Springs. So who knows who's coming out of 7A South, but Gulfport and Ocean Springs are in good shape. Grenada falls to South Panola, and I will get to Germantown here in just a minute. South Panola beats Grenada in a crazy game. Grenada comes back. I think they trail most of that. They come back, tie it up, I believe, with 18 seconds left. And I think South Panola takes the kickoff back, something along those lines. Crazy game. But South Panola picks up a good win over Grenada. Wow, that was Petal's homecoming too. Rub that a little bit there, Adrian. That's a huge win for Pearl. I'm happy for them. Jack Durr comes back this year. Remember the quarterback from Pearl that tore his knee up last year, missed his junior year. Patrick Schooler's the coach there, came over from Neshoba Central. So to see them get a win tonight over Petal, and Marcus Boyles that's back in his second year now at Petal, that's huge. D'Iberville is open, so we're not going to get to that one. But MRA big, Jackson Academy, Raleigh beats Seminary tonight in a big game. I got a little pushback on Raleigh being in our top 25. Same thing. Most of this is not my opinion. Just so y'all understand how I'm doing those power rankings. I am trying to give y'all something that has my opinion on it, but I'm for the most part sticking to what's being spit out. So it's like think BCS RPI, okay? And you're going to have some teams with losing records in there because it's bigger schools, schedule strength. But then I'm moving teams up and down kind of within the realm of maybe 4 or 5 spots of where they're being spit out in those BCS rankings based off what I've seen head to head, all of that kind of stuff. But that's where those top 25 power rankings are coming from. What else here? What about Winona? That's from TJ. Winona picks up a win over, I believe that was Choctaw County tonight. And again, that's the top of my head. I picked Choctaw County to win it. Quarterback at Choctaw County's big time player, defending state champs, all of that. And they have been playing really good football. But Winona, remember, they got it done a couple of years ago. So it's not exactly shocking to see Winona come up with a big win, not the first big game that those kids have played in. So congratulations to Winona. The dude effect here, Leake Central takes the district against Newton County. Don't ask about Leake Academy. Leake Central has some dudes. Tell you what I'm going to start doing this week. I'm going to do a top 25 pod when I put that out, put the graphic out. I'll put some audio with it. I'll start breaking down a few of these teams because I just don't have the time here in this format. I mean, we're already sitting here at 15 minutes and got to move on. Thoughts on the Mavs from Eddie. Germantown is, and look, I'm gonna pull up my computer rankings while we're sitting here talking. Germantown is hard to figure out, okay? And what I mean by that is it's almost like, and for whatever reason, my power rankings are not working here. We're gonna have to work on that. The reason being, Germantown has big wins, but they have some kind of head scratchers where you don't think that they should lose the game, but they can beat anybody on any given night. King White's a big time player. They have all of this skill talent in the backfield and receiver. Their defense is underrated. And even though Madison Central's probably a year away from being a really good football team, I believe Toby's probably going to have a much better team next year than this year. That's still a solid team. So to come back in the fourth quarter and beat Madison Central says something about them. But did I ever tell you what? When I'm sitting here thinking about it, I pulled up that Tupelo score a while ago. So let's just look at 7A here, just kind of real quick. Well, for Winona being the top 10 in 3A, yeah, down for sure they should be in there. But I'll have to take an extended look at it just to be sure. Hattiesburg looking good. Got two big games in the next 2 weeks. Got West Jones and Terry for the last two games, and I've seen both of those teams. Actually, I've seen all three of those: Hattiesburg, West Jones, and Terry this year. Terry's got a really good running back, and they do have some depth. Same with West Jones. Quarterback is an athlete, can play. Those three teams, there's not a whole lot that separates them: Hattiesburg, West Jones, and Terry. So those are a couple of big games coming up, Adrian. Let me see here a couple other scores before I get out of here. Bear with me 1 second, and then we might do just a little bit of college. Yeah, I've keep teasing this the last couple of weeks. I'm working on a couple of things that are. I'm working on a couple of big things here, and I can't really announce it yet, but hopefully next week I'll be able to put it out there. I just need to dot a couple of I's and cross a couple of T's here. But in our power rankings, I want to get to a few more of those scores before we get out of here. And then I got to get a little sleep. I got to go through these photos first and then try to get a little shut eye and get up 5 hour trip tomorrow to Jacksonville State for Connor's Parents' Day for their baseball program. Okay, here we go. I was looking for this graphic. My top 25 power rankings. I wanted to knock out just a few more of these before we get out of here. Starkville, they get another win tonight, so I'm not shocked at that. Jay Hobson, AD over there, and what they've been able to do with that football program. Took Clinton's coach course from last year, and look, they have a really good football team. Could they come out of the North? Can Starkville? Could Oxford? Trying to think who else might have a shot up there at Starkville. A Germantown, could they not? Yeah, I think they're close enough they could. Depends on Tupelo and how they play coming down the stretch. The South, though, certainly wide open in 7A. You've got Ocean Springs and Gulfport, which look, this might be kind of crazy to say, but I believe the coast, Region 4, that might be the better region this year. With Petal, Oak Grove, Northwest, those are good football teams. I'm just not sure that those are better football teams right now than Gulfport or Ocean Springs. So is this the year a team from the coast gets to a state championship game? But it could be those two. It could be, honestly, there's 5 teams that you're looking at now in Region 3. Could they come out of there? So it's just a lot of depth, and that should make the playoffs, a lot of fun for everybody. D'Iberville was off. Germantown gets the big win. Grenada goes down to South Panola. That was a big game from Grenada because they haven't been challenged in a big way this year, but that was kind of a big game to gauge where they are this year. And look, for South Panola, maybe South Panola is a team you start looking at now that could do something. It's been a bit since they have a state championship. 20, gosh, 15, maybe 16. It would be somewhere along there. But maybe that they could do something this year. I don't have the Louisville score right in front of me, so I'm not gonna sit here and just hawk it down all night. Oak Grove gets the win over Brandon, Madison Central Falls, and Clinton Falls. I believe Warren Central was a winner tonight. And then a few others. Kosciuszko was a big winner. Northwest Rankin gets a big win over Meridian. Northwest Rankin is now 5-3 and tied for the lead in that region. Raleigh, like I said, big. I did want to check Macomb before I got out of here. And I'll put out some more content in the morning, but it's 20 minutes here. This thing late on Friday night. I'm just rolling in, getting scores, and we're just kind of doing what we can do here with it. Macomb, I do not have that score in front of me, and West Harrison goes down. Answer a few of these messages, and then we'll be getting out of here. Hattiesburg looking good. I got to that one. Hope to see you at Eat Dirt Bowl on Halloween in Pearl. Tell you what, Ryan. Talking about Eat Dirt, the Brandon and Pearl thing here. I'm listening to Jake do the play-by-play for Brandon. And when their game was over and they didn't play well tonight, they know the score of that pedal game. So you better believe, look, this has been a rough year for Brandon, with Lance Pogue stepping away this week, and, Brandon and Lance parting ways with 3 games to go. It's been a long year for Brandon. They don't want to lose the Eat Dirt game. And, whatever your thoughts on that game were before tonight, you feel a little different now after seeing Pearl beat pedal. And the reason I brought up Jake is, I'm listening to him and Pervy, and I could hear it in their voices, that's a distinct possibility. Roger, where is that game, by the way, if you don't mind? Is it at Pearl or is it at Brandon this year? But, Pearl's a team that people kind of wrote off early in the year, and they were losing tough games. Look, they almost got Northwest Rankin last week, and Northwest Rankin gets that, what was it, 33-29 or 27? It was a good game. And Northwest Rankin has a good football team. So Eat Dirt next week at Pearl. Wow. Okay. You got Eat Dirt, Brandon at Pearl next week. I wanted to see if I wanted to get into something else before I got out of here, guys. I'm working on a couple of big things for this year to kind of wrap up football. Some schools wrapped up their regular season tonight, as crazy as that sounds. But we are already there. Playoffs are starting. And for the publics, 1 or 2 weeks away, depending on what classification you're in. I'll try to do some classification breakdowns this week. Maybe a top 5 front runners where everybody is. Wow, senior night. Thought you were going to say it's homecoming, Ryan. You could add that to it. But big game in Pearl next week. I'll try to do a little bit more in terms of the big games coming up and maybe do a little more audio. Maybe on the radio, call Jake, might make that happen. I do have some big news coming up on the radio front here pretty soon. So hopefully I'll have that nailed down for you guys next week. Look, enjoy your Saturday, some college football. I'll be watching it on my phone as I go see my oldest Connor down in Jacksonville in Alabama. But always appreciate y'all. Enjoy doing this. Sound and Communications, Country Pleasing, Henry Cooper, my friends down there at Country Meat Packers down in Florence, Capital Ortho in Flowwood, Malone Roofing Services, and The Rogue. I appreciate all their support. You guys have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon, okay? Y'all be good. God bless.